Hi, I'm Rachel, speaking for Life, the Basic Manual. Now you might remember in previous clips I was talking to you about intuition. Remember? Our soul's language, the way that our soul speaks to us about what is right for us, what's our path. It is so important. So what I wanted to do today is give you a way that you can see how you best receive your intuition. To remind you, 4 main ways. Clairvoyance, which is seeing. Some people may see things in their visions while meditating, or see things in their dreams, have very vivid dreams, or people just notice things about their daily life. Then there's clairaudience, which is hearing. Some people hear their name being called in the middle of the night, or they hear bells, or they just have a very acute sense of hearing. They hear things, they notice things, like birds singing, or just noticing things through what they hear. Then there's clairsentience, which is feeling. Remember? The goosebumps, the angel bumps as I like to call it, the gut going. And then finally there's claircognizance, and that's knowing. It's almost like we know something, we don't know how we know something, but we know it. It feels like it's been given to us. So what I like to do now is to give you a way that you can see how you best receive your intuition by doing something that I like to call the intuition game. Dun, dun, dun. Are you ready? So I'd like you to think about a film, a movie that you've most recently watched. First film that comes into your mind, that's the one. Go with it. What do you remember most about that film? Is it what everything looked like? Is it the clothes that they wore? Is it the scenes, the geography, the topography, the shots? Do you remember the visual effects maybe of that film? Yeah? Or maybe you remember the voices, the characters, the accents of the characters. Or perhaps you remember the sound of the music, the score. Or maybe you remember the information, the knowledge. At times you just get like little pearls of wisdom you get from watching a film. And it really feels like it's just been given to you. I got that when I watched Avatar. It was like a knowing that somehow that really made sense to me. Yeah? And then there's also the clairsentience. How did that film make you feel? Is that what you remember most about it? The feeling actually when you're remembering the film now, but actually how it made you feel at the time of watching it. Okay? Now I'd like you to think about a book, most recent book. You may still be reading it right now. Do you remember what the cover looks like? Is it the graphics on the cover of the book that you remember most? Or perhaps you remember the characters in the book and you kind of know how they sound, the accents that come through that book, and the sounds that you can hear when they're describing perhaps a certain land, a certain place. That's what you remember most about it. Or do you remember the little pearl of wisdom, the knowledge, the aha moment perhaps for you in that book? Or do you remember how it makes you or made you feel when reading that book? And then finally, think about somebody who you've most recently met, a friend. What do you remember most about that meeting? Do you remember what they were wearing, the colours that they were wearing? Do you remember where you met? And the colours that were around that place, the visual side of things of that meeting. Or do you remember their voice? The way that they spoke, the accent. Perhaps you remember laughing, and you can still hear the sound of you laughing together. Or do you remember the information, the knowledge that you shared, the wisdom perhaps that you shared with that person? Or do you remember how you feel now remembering that visit with that person, or how you felt at the time whilst you were talking with them? Perhaps it was very emotional. Maybe you remember the laughter, but you remember the feeling of the laughter and how happy and joyful it made you feel. So there you go. That's a little snippet of something called the intuition game that I teach in my Bright Shiny Soul program to help people find out how best they receive their information. I hope that's useful for you so that moving forward you can start to become really aware of how the world looks to you and how your soul is talking to you. Thank you.